Have you ever wondered how to have kids enjoy English and learn English at a young age? Today, me and Adam are going to talk about our personal experiences in doing this. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Gugu Gaga Nihongo Ego Wakarimasen episode for the children. We're the hosts. My name is MJ.
My name is Adam.
Hey, thanks for joining us in this episode. We're going to help you today answer a question that many parents have here in Japan. A lot of people want to have their kids learn English, and not just parents, but I think the government as well, because recently now elementary school students are learning and having English classes. So, hey, they're understanding that at a younger age, it's better to show these kids what a new language like English is and how to get used to it. But it's not that easy. You can't just put a teacher in front of the kids and expect them to be like, oh, okay, English. Hello, that's cool, right? It takes a lot more, and it might even start before they're in third grade. So if you didn't know, me and Adam, we have kids, we have families. And our kids grew up in Japan. I'm still in Japan. Adam's now in Canada. But our kids are still learning English and Japanese at the same time. So we just wanted to share with you our experience of doing this. We've never been trained on how to teach kids specifically, but I feel like our kids have a good grip, a good knowledge of English and Japanese, and just want to talk about how that came to be. So going to the beginning for you, Adam, how was it when you had your first child? Did you have an idea of teaching them two languages?
Of course, I wanted my daughter to speak both languages, two languages, because, you know, in our household, there's people who speak both languages. And of course, our family, our relatives also speak different languages. So my parents and my family members speak English, and my wife's parents, family members speak Japanese. So in our minds, it would be good if our daughter could interact with and communicate with both sides of the family. That's probably number one. But number two, we just think that it's better for her future. I mean, as all parents, if the child could speak English and her mother tongue, which is Japanese.
So did you have any game plan of like, how am I going to do this?
No. I guess the main thing was just from the start, because MJ and I are really both big on immersion. I and my wife, we tried our best to make it just natural, like especially with NHK playing TV shows and, you know, programs in English. And there's we have access to books and music with YouTube. We tried our best to, like, of course, buy books or receive books from Canada, from Japan in English. If we're lucky, we have both languages, so we can like read both. And then using YouTube as another way for us to be able to play music or play TV series, play shows in English. And then there's Netflix and, you know, Disney Plus later on. But just using whatever we had at our fingertips to make the home like have a specific time, whether it's in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. Make that time for watching. Time for not watching, time for having that kind of programming on TV. Or, you know, in the air. Pretty scheduled.
I
wouldn't say it's like specifically like 5 o'clock.
Right. Like a classroom.
It's just like a classroom. And even the books, I made a bookshelf, but it was at the height of my daughter standing up so she could see them. She had another shelf with toys on it, like Sesame Street teddy bears and stuff. So there were a lot of things that she could just, if she wanted to go touch it, she could go touch it. We didn't hide it away where it's like not accessible, she's not able to grab it. We put it in a place that's right in front of her all the time, in the space where she is. And whenever she wanted to touch, you know, Big Bird or go touch the ABC book, like it's right there. She can grab it and she can look at it and
I had the same idea as you. So with my wife, like where we definitely want these kids to be able to speak, communicate, understand both languages because is very great. It's a good advantage over everyone if you can speak two languages, if you can speak multiple languages,
Right.
it doesn't lock you down to one specific place. Of course, Japan's great and stuff,
Yeah.
but there could be other opportunities if you speak another language.
Exactly.
So definitely wanted to do that, but didn't know how to and didn't really think about it. For me, it was just natural. If I had a child in America with an American woman, then of course I would speak English to the baby and I would say, oh, well, look at that cat. Oh, there's the truck that's going by. Oh, it's such a hot day today. And just reinforcing those things that we see in daily life to the child. And of course, in English. So what we did, I stuck with English. My wife stuck with Japanese.
Yeah.
And which I feel is pretty common.
Yeah.
Just naturally, just that's how it was. Dad's always in English. Mom's always in Japanese. For me, I really focused on just like not using any Japanese with the kids. And then another thing is my wife says, I'm a talkative person, maybe more than she is. So I've noticed that, the kids, when they were really young, that their English was pretty strong.
I can agree to that. Yes.
Of course, in my situation too, I found a daycare that also integrated a lot of English. There was an Australian teacher. A lot of English was used in the daycare. So when they were really young, from 0 to when they finished daycare, like 5 or something. So they had so much immersion at the house and at school, at daycare. So this is something I feel like can be a big difference of having more time for that immersion will definitely increase. That's why I came to Japan to study Japanese, because in America I studied, my level was increasing very slowly and I'm lazy. So I wasn't focusing really. But here I came to Japan, I have to speak Japanese to survive. So my immersion was, of course, everywhere. My skill of Japanese went up quicker. Same in this case with the kids. If there's more time with immersion, more time where they're listening, focusing on English, then yes, they'll be able to understand it better. And at the same time, though, there are a lot of people who mention that teaching 2 languages to a kid can slow the process or their learning of speaking and understanding, because there's 2 languages going in their brain, everyone.
I've heard the same thing, like if they're learning or if they have 2 languages before they're able to talk, then they're going to talk at a later time,
like 4, 5, where they'll be able to like speak
more.
Usually
where
it's like
they
around
probably
3-ish.
start like 3, 4, they would be able to speak.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, so what I've noticed, and probably MJ can say this similar case, when my kids now, because my daughter's 3 years old and my younger daughter is 3 years old, my older daughter is 7 years old, when they're speaking to me and when they're speaking to my wife, it's like it's, I don't know how or what's going on in their brain, but they switch, like they switch perfectly.
Yeah.
And if they're saying the same thing, like for example, I tell my daughter to put on her shoes. Okay, my older daughter. My younger daughter's hearing, she's 3 years old, and then my wife tells her the same thing, put on your shoes, in Japanese. My younger 3-year-old daughter would say first in English, and then she'd say it in Japanese. But she doesn't think about it. She just says it. And I find that very, very interesting. Like, I'm hungry. Onaka suita. She says both of the same things when she's speaking to me. I'm hungry. When she speaks to my wife, onaka suita. There's no gap between it. So even though she might have started speaking at a later date, I think as soon as she does start speaking, it's like a graph or a plane taking off. It's slow at first, but then all of a sudden it goes straight up really quickly. I don't think it's something to worry about.
Right. It could be maybe have some parents feel like, oh no, is there something
wrong?
They're
not speaking yet. Is there something wrong? Maybe I should stop.
Is the kind of gamble that you take when you're trying to focus on multiple languages for a child. But it's not impossible and it's not too crazy because there's plenty of families around the world who have successfully done so. And of course, the kids that grow up, they don't even notice if it's this kind of immersion style. They don't even really notice that they're speaking later, or, maybe as they're getting older, depending on what language is their kind of foundation language, then that can kind of maybe cause some issues where there's like they're making mistakes in one language, or that they're borrowing some grammar from one and bringing it to the other. So of course it does happen. Like example with my kids, they take the grammar, the Japanese way of speaking. Like if something is cold or hot, they just say atsui, samui.
Oh, yeah.
But when we're speaking in English, so they're just like, oh, cold,
oh,
hot. So I'm like, what's hot? Like you're hot, or the food is hot?
The food's hot,
Is this room hot? So in English, of course, we need to know what's the subject. But in Japanese, you don't need to do that. So there is that little bit of mix that happens back and forth. But it's really amazing to see that the human brain is able to understand two different languages and understand two different vocabs of like one thing, like you're saying shoes, kutsu, and like what to do with that. The more and more older we get, those rules of our language become more difficult to break or bend for a new language.
Yes.
So you might see this with some kids. Like I've taught some kids, I know Adam, you too, that are like in elementary school in Japan, trying to like teach English. And some kids are like totally fine and open. And some kids are just like, Nani? Wakandai. Nani yutteru? Zenzen wakandai. Nihongo hanasenai? They just focus on Japanese. They're really reluctant. It's difficult for them to kind of understand the English. They want, they're fighting with it. And then, of course, they are not going to like English. It's something that's not fun. But if you catch kids in like the 0 to 3 age, where everything in the world is new, there's no rules anywhere. They don't know what Japanese is. They don't know what English is. They don't know French, German. You could show them any kind of language and they just accept it.
I think if it's visual too, at the same time as my daughters were watching English TV shows, they would watch Polish TV shows, Russian TV shows, and like Spanish, Korean. Like, How are you watching all of this? Stay with the English, but they don't know it's a language. They're just seeing people on the screen communicating with each other, and they kind of piece it together. What's happening? So
exactly. And the way that they are able to just enjoy it is because it's a film. It's funny.
It's a film.
It's a story that they can follow. And the reason why we see people, kids and adults, not like English is because they're studying for a test. You're learning it to get good grades. And nobody wants to do that. We want to learn a language to communicate, to use it, to speak, to understand. And that's what kids do when they're really young with any kind of language. With me too, like I had my children watching a lot, almost like 0 Japanese kids shows. Just personally, I feel like they're really bad, like very childish, like 0 when you're under 1 years old. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that's good, but like after that, there's not too many like in between, like toddler to like learn like real life, like how you should act, like I don't know, like how to deal with when you're upset and angry or sad or scared. Where in the US, North America, there's a lot more shows, especially now, focusing on like explaining feelings and showing it for kids that are like toddler age. I had my kids watching a lot of just mostly YouTube and a lot of American programs. So for them, a lot of kids programs are more fun in English, and they just keep on watching American stuff. When we switch over to Japanese, it's like, like every once in a while, they like Pokemon, like, but it's so different from the American one. And I feel like it just is a continuation of how much immersion they got when they were really, really small to now where they're like, oh, this like TV shows they enjoy maybe more in English than Japanese per se.
It's more normal for them to watch English, and natural for them to watch English TV shows.
So that's what I would kind of recommend for everyone.
Yeah.
So if anyone has a question, like, how can I help my kids if I want my kids to enjoy English and just learn English? One thing is, if they're young, just play videos. Or if you're speaking English too, just talk to them in English. It might feel weird a little bit, but just, go to the library, find some English children books. Like Adam was saying, like, don't make it a specific kind of like study time.
Right.
Just bring it out. Like, hey, let's look at this book. Oh,
that's basically how we started too. It was first, we had one book. It was Peppa Pig, and there was colors in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they had, objects with the colors. So I would just go through. I'd say, what color is this? And my daughter would say red. Oh, what's this? It's an apple. Yeah. Just, it's a red apple. And then keep going through.
Yeah.
There was another one with numbers. And there was another one. It didn't have any words in it. It was just pictures. So, at the young age, you can even use your imagination to figure out how you're going to express what's on the page if you're reading books to the child. You don't have to read the story either. Sometimes the story was long and boring or long and difficult to read to a 1-year-old. So we just looked at the pictures and I just made my own story.
So that's something that everyone can try, this immersion style, just for your kids. And hey, if they're getting a little older and they understand Japanese a lot and they really they have a difficult time just accepting this immersion style of English, we might have to get back to you in another video. So hey,
that's right.
Like, subscribe to the channel. If you enjoyed this one, let us know down below, what do you think about immersion for children? Or have you ever tried teaching your kids some English? How did it go? Let us know.
But that's it. We'll see you
on the next
step.